So today's topic is called Heaven on Earth, and I love this topic. I think that it's a topic that I feel like everyone should have access to because can you ladies see me? I don't know if perfect. It's a topic that I feel like everyone should have access to. When I think about everyone in the world, every little girl, every little boy, I wish this topic was presented to me when I was as long as I can remember, right? Because when I think about any feelings of limitations or restrictiveness, I remember as a child, I used to think that certain things were reserved for certain people. And when I learned that everything in my life, everything that is literally in front of me is a manifestation of me, anything that I want in life, I can alone manifest with obviously co creating with the most divine, the higher power, God, right? Once I learned that, my life changed for the better. And once I learned that concept, I never looked back, right? And having this inner knowing of knowing that everything in life that I can possibly want, I can absolutely get if I just get into the energy field of it, right? But there's a process to it. There was times in my life when I felt like I asked God for it and I didn't receive it, right? And when I would look back at those times when I asked, because obviously I was told as a young adult, whatever you want, you can get, right? I've heard it before. And when I heard it, I would just think that all I have to do is ask and I'll receive. And the times that I asked, I didn't always receive. And more than likely, I didn't receive. And at that specific time in my life, I would be like, well, I don't get it, right? I don't get it. I'm hearing all these people say, you can get everything that you want. You can manifest everything that you want. Just ask God and you receive it. And when I would ask, I didn't receive it. So I'm like, am I missing something? Is this just not meant for me, right? I would go back to that knowing, to how can I say it? That limiting mindset. I would go back to that and say, well, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'm not supposed to get it all, right? But when I came to the actual realization, when I did more research, when I started to read books like The Power of Now, I realized that not only was I supposed to ask, I was supposed to get into the energy field of what it is that I wanted, right? And that takes time. And I talk about it all the time when it comes to inner work. Sometimes we want something. And every time I'm listening to someone maybe say, like, I want, just for an example, I had a conversation with one of my friends earlier this week, and there was some things that she wanted in her life. And she was telling me that she wanted this, she wanted that. And I asked her, I said, do you think you can do anything better in order for you to get this outcome out of life? What can you do in order for you to get this certain outcome, right? Because we can sometimes put the blame on other people, other circumstances, maybe our previous traumas as to why we don't have exactly what we want in life right now, why we don't have our dream reality right now. So I asked her, I said, what can you do better specifically that's going to get you in the energy field of receiving that? And there's layers to it. So today I want to tap into those layers because we can ask of God anything that we want. We can say we have all these desires, and we can sit here and get on our knees and pray to God, God, I want this, God, I want that. But are we in the energy field of receiving that? Are we in the energy field? Are we ready to receive that? If God were to grant it to us right now, are we able to embody that completely? And that's why it's so important to constantly, like we mentioned earlier with our discussion today, is like, are we allowing God to speak to us? Are we allowing those channels to flow through us? Or are we allowing distractions to get in the way? because I truly believe that is the main reason why we don't have everything that we want. Most of the time, when I'm ever desiring something, I always remind myself, Alicia, you're just not in the energy field of it. Because exactly when you get in the energy field of it, you're gonna receive it. It's happened to me many of times. It's happened to me countless amount of times where I've asked God for what I wanted. I made sure that I got into the energy field of it, and not only getting in the energy field of it, but also asking, literally constantly asking God for it, right? Constantly doing everything that it takes to manifestation. People hear it and they're like, I'm just going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that. But it takes actual work. It takes literally work. It takes a great deal of a relationship with God in order to manifest. And I think that the most important core thing about manifesting is, and how you're going to keep what you've manifested, is how your relationship with God transpires. How good is your relationship with God? And what are you basing your relationship with God on? I heard this discussion, this perspective earlier this week, and it was like, you could be a spiritual person and you could be a religious person. And I hate to say it, because some people, I feel like there's this big war on religion and how people are speaking on religion these days. And religion is not a bad thing, but I think we tend to go back on it because growing up, religion in some ways could have seemed so, it was always in a way to me contradicting, because you would see someone religiously go to church every Sunday, religiously go to church more than once a week, they would religiously pray at this specific time. But when you seen the way they manifested in the world and the way they carried themselves in certain situations that happened in reality, it didn't seem from a higher source. A lot of the times I feel like it was more judgmental in a way, right? It was more ego based. And going back to the example between someone who is religious and someone who's spiritual, there's a big difference between the two. I think the most important thing is to combine the two. If you want to live your life on a religious base, which is a beautiful thing as well, right? To follow a religion, to follow a structure, to follow a discipline is one of the most beautiful things you can do in life. But I think if you don't tap into your spirituality, you miss the whole point. And when you think about manifestation, if there's no spirituality, if there's no relationship with God in it, then there's no way you're going to be able to get that certain outcome that's going to come and that's going to last for a lifetime. So, spirituality goes hand in hand with manifestation. Those are the two things that you have to make sure you keep well balanced in order to get everything that you want in life. And I liked this analogy when I heard it, and I put it in our notes for today, is like, you're on a shopping spree with the most high divine. You're on a shopping spree with God, because that's literally what it feels like. When every time I wake up and I think about what I want my life to look like and what I want my future to look like, I know that the only thing I have to do in order to get that and in order to get there is to tap in with God. That's the only thing I have to do. If God doesn't, they say that too, God doesn't put it in our spirit, God doesn't put these desires in our spirit for us not to be able to get it. So I'm never afraid to ask for more. I'm never afraid to ask for the most craziest things that may seem unrealistic. Anyone that I think that really knows that I'm part delusional, and I literally live in my delusional world most of the time. And the times that I'm not in my delusional world, in a way, I obviously you have to live in reality in some certain percentage of the time. But when I feel like I'm not tapped into my delusional world more than I would like to, I know that most of the time that means that something is taking my attention. And we mentioned just before too about obviously social media, whatever, the thousand list of distractions we have. Even outside of social media, there's other distractions like cleaning our house, doing all of the things can be a distraction. So every time that I feel like I'm not living in that world with God, it's because something is taking me away from that. So I know that every time that I want to manifest something new in my life, something beautiful, something exciting, all I have to do is get back into that delusional world, that heaven on earth, right? So, what if heaven on earth isn't something we wait for? What if it's something that we create through faith, alignment, surrender, and belief? So many of us were taught to believe life has to be hard, painful, and limited. That's when I mentioned in the beginning of the message is like when I think about it as a kid, right? Just watching how other adults operated, it sucks, but that's just the reality of it. Is like a lot of the adults that we grew up around operated out of limitation. They decided that they wanted life to be hard without them knowing that they decided that, but that's just the reality of it. They decided that life is meant to be hard. They decided that they have to continuously resonate with painful things. Everything had to have a pain point. Everything. There was never a happy ending. Everything was so limited. But what if all good things are truly possible when we believe? What if the life we desire is already available to us? So, books like The Power of Now, and that's why I brought it to today's message, and The Secret are, you hear people mention these two books all the time because I really believe that these are the spiritual laws of the world, the spiritual laws I believe that we should live our lives by outside of obviously religious books like the Bible and the Quran. This is just another side of things that I feel like when we think about structure and how we should think of our worlds and how we should live our lives, these are the two books that I really hold close to me and that I pray that I can give to my children one day and then they can pass it on. So, books like this remind us that our thoughts, our energy, and beliefs shape the reality around us. It's almost like being on a shopping spree with the most divine. And lately, I thank God that I've been meditating a lot more. I've been meditating almost every day. And that's another way that I feel like life is literally a shopping spree. When I'm able to sit down, and it's so crazy, right? Because when you think about it, we're getting grounded. We're literally getting to the most grounding point. You're sitting on the ground, you're getting on your knees to pray. The most grounding thing that you can do, the one thing that's going to pull the ultimate ego out of us, it's what's going to bring the most blissful things in our life. And that's why I'm saying that it's so important for us to be mindful of how our relationship with the higher power, excuse me, hold on one moment. That relationship with the higher power is so important. Because if our relationship with the higher power is just based off of a time frame, off of just an act of praying, how spiritual are you? How connected are you? Make sure that relationship, that religion that you have with God, you're also being spiritually connected. Your whole embodiment, your whole spirit is connected with God. Where the things where we desire are deeply, our desire are already at our fingertips. So that's literally what it feels like when I'm in meditation, when I'm in prayer, when I'm grounded. I feel like I literally can choose whatever I want in life and I'm gonna receive it. So all I have to do is make sure I'm in alignment of it and I'm in the energy field of it. And what that means is that my nervous system is it's completely relaxed. I'm able to breathe. Like manifestation and meditation is so important because we have to be observant of our breath, and you hear it in so many other practices like yoga, things like that. They always put importance of your breath, because if our breath is not, if that's the only thing I wrote in my notes, that's the only thing that we should even want control of is our breath. Because if our breath is relaxed and we're able to control our breathing, we're able to allow these beautiful, blissful things to get in our energy field. If we're not able to control our breath and our breath is out of whack, our nervous system is out of whack, it's kind of like a blockage of our desires. Our desires are not able to get into our energy field if our breath is literally out of tune. So, manifestation is more than simply wanting something, it requires energetic cleansing, it requires surrender, It requires a relationship with God. Before we can co create with the supernatural, we must first get into the energetic field to communicate with God. That means releasing control, releasing fear, releasing limitations and restrictions. So every time I get on my knees and I pray, every time that I'm in meditation, every time that I'm able to let God speak to me, I feel like there's no limitations ever. The limitations and the restrictions are literally out the door. They don't exist because we are co-creating with something that's so supernatural. Sometimes when we desire more for ourselves, resistance does appear. It's something that does happen, right? When I think about living a happy married life with my future family, and I always sometimes there's these limitations that come to my mind, right? Obviously the worst of the worst. I don't even want to mention them, but some of the worst thoughts come to my mind. When I think about even manifesting more money, I sometimes the worst thoughts come to my mind. But when those thoughts come to me, I literally ask God to take those limitations away because it's literally that. It's just a limitation. Because I know from my upbringing, I didn't think that I can have it all. So, of course, our natural human experience is going to try to put limits, it's going to try to put doubts whenever we want more in life. But if we constantly affirm to ourselves that we are able to have it all, we indeed are able to have it all. We are. Then that's when it'll happen. But how can we have it all if we consistently and we continuously let our limitation and our ego get in the way? So I really want to talk about the ego portion of it, right? So another important part with co-creating with God is letting go of our ego. Our ego can really get in the way of a lot of things without us even realizing it. Right now, we live in a world where I feel like people are just so self consumed of themselves, and it's just all ego. And that's something that we have to allow to let go of if we really want something bigger in our lives. We have to be willing every time I'm talking to someone. When I think about when I talk to my man, right? When he's in front of me, something that constantly goes through my mind is Alicia, keep going under. And what I'm trying to tell myself is allow your ego to let go of your ego because you're in front of someone that you absolutely love so much and you don't want your ego to get in the way of this love. So, in another way, it's also another way to practice feminine embodiment is constantly remind ground yourself. And that's something that meditation also helps me with because if I start my day with meditation, then I constantly reference it. So when I'm in front of people that I love, I try to remind myself to go under, go under. And that's the most beautiful thing that you can do. And when you think about it, when you're in front of someone who is able to ground themselves in front of you, that love that they're giving you is the most freeing love ever. It's the most, in a way, it's the most addicting love ever because it's a good feeling, right? It's the best thing that you can give someone is a love without limitations, a love without ego. So when you think about that, right? If you think about how you present yourself in front of people that you love, imagine that same idea, but putting that presentation in front of the things that we want in life. So it's like, all right, God, I want to manifest, let's just say a new house. I want to manifest a new home. I want X, Y, and Z. I want nothing but the best, right? And when we're in front of that manifestation, the most important part of that manifestation is to go under with God. I want to take my ego out of it. I want to manifest these beautiful things because I'm able to. I'm deserving of all these things. But God, I manifested it. Now what do I have to do? Now I have to get back into this relationship with you. I want to consistently be in this relationship with you in order to hold that new home. Because the last thing I want to do is get this new home and then self sabotage it, right? Get in my ego and literally make it the worst thing ever. So I want to make sure when I manifest this new home, I'm here with you on it, God. I want to allow my loved ones to come in and enjoy this new home with me. I want to be able to create new memories in this home with me, in this home with you, God. I want to be able to create a family in this new home with you, God. Those are the things. It's the relationship with God is the most important relationship we have to have in order to manifest more. God doesn't want us to stay stagnant. God wants us to manifest more. We just have to make sure we're in alignment with him. So never be afraid to want more for yourself. Never feel guilty for desiring abundance, peace, love, health, success, overflow, because we are protected by the most divine. The people that have, I feel like some of the people that have all these material things, the most abundant people that I consider the most abundant are the people that are the most giving, they're the most grounded. Those are the people that I like, that's what I look to when I think of success. They have all the material things, but they're able to hold it because they have such an amazing relationship with God. And they're not afraid to want more because they know they're protected by God. So, going back to remembering that when we are wanting more, when we are in manifestation with more with God, the most important thing is to calm our nervous system, surrender the fear, and just trust God fully. We create space for heaven on earth to exist within us first. It has to happen within us first because there's not an amount of things in life that we can receive that would create that for us. We have to be able to hold it within us, and then it'll manifest outside of us. It happens internally before it happens externally. And that is the message for today. So I want to leave you ladies with this point, and it's what is it that you want in life? In the material world, in the physical world, in the spiritual world, what is it exactly that you want? Believe that you can get it, and then go get it.